Death by noise.
Through dark veil of space, time.
Yes, I like it.
This is Warp Chatter!
Sweet mother of the abyss!
There's a great deal of work to do.
Okay, welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Eye of Terror Studios, where this is the podcast where we talk about Horus Heresy Legion's digital card game Warhammer 40,000, Horus Heresy lore, all the good stuff in between. This is a podcast by players for players, and we have, as always, players on the podcast. Joining me today, as always, is Axel Manningcrap, co-host.
Howdy, howdy, ho.
And then we have two players joining us as guests today. We have Phil Carey.
Hey, hello, everyone.
And Admiral Walrus. Admiral Walrus.
Hi, mighty fond of you do, people.
Admiral Wallace might be a whole different person altogether. So
You forgot the
Yes, it
tusks.
looks.
yes, I did. I was just looking at the picture and not the words, and then somehow when I looked at the words, I was like, "Oh, it's Walrus." That's right. I was distracted by the Admiral portion.
Admiral is just fine, don't worry.
There you go.
A name that fits the profile, unlike mine.
All right. Well, we are talking about the World Eaters today. That's the topic of today's episode. This was an episode we were planning on having last week to talk about, but then we had the November balance patch come up, so that kind of became the topic of this discussion. So we've moved the World Eaters to today. And that's the plan. That's what we're going to be talking about. I think it's kind of fitting because we have the Battle of Bot event kicking off today, which is kind of a flashback event, and you've got, Autic Moore and the Orphans of War basically, railing against the World Eater forces on Bot. So that's interesting. And outside of that, I don't know if there's been a whole lot of World Eater bits of lore beyond the stories in the books that I've read that I've really hooked on to. Personally, I think Aaron Dembski Bowden's stuff, the Butcher's Nails short story, as well as Betrayer, is probably the best of the World Eaters that I've enjoyed. That's just personal preference. In general, I just kind of find a faction that's, chain axe wielding, charging forward and not doing a whole heck of a lot. That's just, I don't know, for me it's not as intriguing, but we're going to be talking a little bit about the lore. We'll talk about the faction, especially because I think their cards kind of make me feel the same way sometimes.
The World Eaters exist for a very good reason. You need an enemy that runs at the main characters with nothing but melee.
Sometimes you just
For example,
need to have that.
Every Imperial Fist book related to the Siege always at least has a scene where World Eaters just run at them and they fight them. Camba Diaz's are a great example of that. I was just talking about it not long ago.
Well, before we get to that, we'll go ahead and introduce the couple of players who are guests in here today, give them a chance to tell us about themselves and how they got into the game, what they enjoy about the game, as well as the lore and the hobby. So we'll start off with Phil. You were on, I believe, episode 2. So way back. We're going over 30 episodes back, but it's been a while.
The OG days.
So for those who haven't listened to episode 2 or missed that, catch us up. Who are you?
Oh, all right. Well, I'm Phil. I have just my name in the game, and I've been playing Legions for, I think it's about 3 years now. Wasn't there at the very beginning, though, so maybe I'm a little off. But anymore, I just try and help out with events mostly, try and do ladder a little bit. Not an overly serious player, but I've been pretty active for most of my time.
All right. Dude. Any preference on the World Eaters? What's your take on them?
Well, no. I mean, Angron I liked for a while. Maybe year and a half ago. Played quite a bit of matches with him. The other warlords really I really never tried a whole lot. I feel like I'm always on the receiving end, though, of people that are pretty decent with them. And, I mostly see them from a frustration standpoint, Kharn and Dar really anymore. But It hasn't been too frequent over the last couple months, even though I know Kharn was pretty popular there for a while.
All right. Admiral, how about yourself?
Yeah, I've been playing Legions for about a year and a half whenever Dark Angels got released.
Ooh, is that pushing it? I think we're pushing a year now.
I think that's
Shit.
just
Oh,
over
wow.
a year.
They've been in the game for a bit. That feels weird.
But that was longer than that, but yeah. I joined because I've been in 40k and not that much. I was like, hey, it's a game. Try it out. And I'm here now.
All right. So have you had a whole lot of experience with 40k in general, or just like totally new to the lore?
Yeah, my brother introduced me about a few years ago. Can't pinpoint the exact spot, but he was in the whole Necron thing. I was like, what's with them? And it's like, it's 40k. You want to get into it? Sure.
I like the Necrons. They're not in the heresy, but out of all the Xenos races, they're the ones that I feel like if I had to make an army, that's the one I would make.
Yeah.
They were around during the heresy. They just
they were.
They're sleeping.
They were around.
No. They had some awake ones. They just were fucking off doing their own thing.
Yeah, they're like
That's a general take of the any Xenos during Horus Heresy. They had their own problems. They had their own issues.
Yeah, the Necrons that were awake were like the Janders, who were like mopping the hallway, and they just kind of like heard something in the distance, like, nah, I'm just gonna keep cleaning.
And then he had Trazen.
Yeah.
No, they were more like the two old guys from the Muppets,
Oh.
just sitting up in the rafters, laughing down at the people fighting. But yeah,
Heresy, more like Heresaw. Ho, 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 ho.
we're now casting Scuff as one of those old men in the live-action remake
They
of
have
Muppets.
names, but I cannot for the life of me recall what they are.
No, neither can I.
So what's your take, Admiral, on the World Eaters?
I enjoyed them when I first got introduced to them. I enjoyed the side peoples, like the captain,
Lotera?
Latera. That's it,
Okay.
Latara. I enjoyed her little no bullshit attitude to everyone else.
Yeah, she's a pretty good. She's one of the few, really. I think there's a couple characters through the course of the heresy that just don't take guff from Astartes, and she's one of them. And obviously, that earns her the respect.
And Angron holds a place where I can't really say it's good or bad. I do like to play out the thought it maybe could have been different if things didn't happen. But other than that, he's solid.
Yeah, he has one of the, I won't say the most tragic. I think he's the biggest wasted potential as far as a primer goes. Because, I mean, to the point where the Emperor recognizes it too. And I think it's in the Emperor of Mankind, there's a scene where he's working on trying to get the butcher's nails removed. And he can remove them. It'll kill Angron, but he also recognizes that they're making him super combat efficient, but that's all they're good for. And kind of sees it as like, well, he's good for what he's doing right now, but anything else that he was going to be destined to do is kind of wasted at this point. And I think he was supposed to be an empath, if I recall correctly, or something, very more in tuned in that regard. So for him to be turned up high on 11 for aggression, and that's about it. Like that really just like runs who he is. And then eventually that ends up running who the World Eaters are. I don't know.
To be fair, they weren't much different before he showed up.
This is true. I think the biggest thing for me with the World Eaters, and granted, I think it's game related, because in 40k, I mean, Heresy story-wise came first, but in terms of actual product and everything, all the lore was 40k based. Khorne Berserkers, the World Eaters Legion, the World Eaters running them as an army of just all Khorne heavy faction like that, kind of defined who they were. They're like, oh, it's World Eaters. Okay, so it's a bunch of Khorne Berserkers. And then how'd they get that way? Well, they were already a bloodthirsty army, and then they just turned to chaos, and they got even more bloodthirsty. And you got little bits in there, a little bit, but that's about all the lore there was to them. Their Primarch was Angron. He became a demon prince who was also bloodthirsty. So I feel like when they finally got the chance to go back to do the lore, they still were kind of hamstringed by, what was going to happen. Like, it wasn't like they were, some other of all the traitor legions, I think the World Eaters are probably the most already close to what they were going to become. Whereas like 1,000 Suns were completely different from what they became. Even the Death Guard. While Nurgle is, Nurgle's all deathy, like they had some degree of tactics, and they were a little bit more They were lion soldiers. Emperor's children completely transformed altogether. And I mean, these are just going off of the ones that followed and deviated to like one chosen god of chaos as opposed to chaos undivided. But even then, Night Lords, Iron Warriors probably are the closest to what they were, but they incorporate that dark element of chaos to them. And there's not a whole lot of that's chaos undivided. So it just seems like, I don't know, it feels like the World Eaters were just always going to be what they are. And there's not a whole lot of room there.
To be fair, a Legion that's entire gimmick is your Primarch turns into a Beyblade in battle is pretty impressive in of itself. All he does is spin, and things die, and I respect it.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
He's a Wolverine. Small and angry.
He's the
People
best.
forget.
He's the best at what he does, but what he does isn't very nice.
People forget he's like the third shortest Primarch. He's just taller than Logar and Alfarius Omegon. He's like 9 feet tall. That's a small... Wow. Okay, he's huge. Yeah. But that's a small Primarch.
Well, the art form is really kind of varied, too. Like, I think the best art for him is his Demon Prince stuff, because his Primarch art is... I don't know, like you run the gamut, like he's like this almost squattish looking, like a dwarf style body build, and then you've got other ones where he's just like the Butcher's Nails.
A giant dragon.
Yeah, the Butcher's Nails is supposed to be this thing that tendrils into his brain, but in some instances they look like they are like half his body.
Oh man, I love the dreads though, just like how they look like dreads.
Yes, yeah, when he transforms or just like in general, yes.
Yeah, in general, they're just big ass. When he's in Demon Prince form, they look like their hair, and it's cool.
Yeah,
I love his size though, because a lot of lore describes him as grabbing his entire hand, going around someone's chest, and then touching the finger to thumb, and it's that makes sense if he wasn't just 9 feet tall.
He's got big hands.
Shaq isn't around picking men up and fucking crushing them in one hand, and he's almost that height. I got questions to you, Angron. What the fuck does his hands look like?
Angron versus Shaq. That's the basketball game we all want to see. That's Space Jam 3 material.
Yep.
Space Jam 3, Shaquille O'Neal versus Shaq.
Space
How tall
Jam 3.
is he anyway?
How tall is Shaq? I think he's 7 something.
Yeah, I'm only getting it in... Okay, he's 7'1". I like his odds.
Wow. That's like the size of a ferry.
No. Alfarius is taller than that. Alfarius is 8 foot something. His Marines are unnaturally tall. So it helps balance out. You're the shortest Primarch and you have the tallest Marines. So World Eaters.
We could. Yes.
They're not the only Legion with chain axes, by the way. There are a few others like Fafnir on, but the Word Bearers have their own version with their Ashen Circles. The War Crime Unit. So I think they're called Axe Rakes or some stupid shit, but we got chain axes too. Don't forget about them. Yeah, a lot of people just refer to them as the chain axe boys, but they're not the only ones with chain axes, which is why that hurts.
I just figured chain axes were, out there for whoever wanted them.
Yeah, they're another rule of cool weapons, right? The axe rake. Okay, I found it. Only the Word Bearers really used axe rakes, so they're essentially a chain axe with a hook on the end.
Jeez.
Getting to the World Eaters again. I don't know. Lore-wise, there are obviously the main character. You've got the main two big characters. We've got Kharn. We've got Angron. Erlin is mentioned. He's in the Isstvan 3 book. Not the game book. The novel. He's on Isstvan 3. Shabrandar was actually a character that was in the Forge World books, which I didn't know.
Yep.
He's got a cool story, but there's not a whole lot of characters outside of that. Even the ones that you get introduced to, they basically just die. That's what they're gonna do. They get thinned down. There's not a whole lot of World Eater characters to follow through the course of the story. So I don't have a whole lot to say about the World Eaters lore. We could just talk about the cards, and I think we're gonna be circling the same kind of topics in general. I think that the World Eaters, without a doubt, are an aggro faction, right?
They're without a doubt balls to the wall.
And I think that poses a lot of problems. I think the biggest problem, really, before even going card by card, we don't really need to go card by card, but the biggest problem with the World Eaters has been their warlords not necessarily outshine, but the pacing of their warlords makes their playstyle a certain way, and therefore a good portion of their cards are rendered second-rate or useless because they don't contribute, or by the time they come on board, they're not as effective as other neutral cards in the game.
Yeah, just about anything over 6 energy.
Yeah, I would say like at 6 energy, any card that you've got that it's above that should be like a board clear or mass damage.
Yeah. Conqueror or Merciless is about all you see.
Yeah, and you've got the Sark speeders, which are like 2 of those. That's a given. There's never a reason to not put those in your deck. Like that's 4+ damage guaranteed every game.
Yep.
More if you get crucial. If you get Forbidden Protocols and it gets Survivor.
Oof, that's just hell.
Yeah,
Imagine
they're legendaries. I mean,
okay, some of them are amazing, and then there's one that's useless.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I wouldn't call Gorefather amazing. And Armor Mars kind of exists at this point. I still think it should proc on any use below 10 HP. So if I use it on 9, it should return.
I agree.
But, I was going to say, then you got Macer Varen, which is a joke, and if you ever play him, I will find you. And I will mourn you because you have made a mistake mentally.
Yeah, Macer Varen, that was a cool character. You know, he was.
Surprisingly, like the thing about Macer, the thing every guild kind of dropped the ball on was making his Macador variants better.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about that's fine to me because his in-game version is so dated, it's useless. It doesn't synergize with the faction's playstyle, which is the first mistake.
Yeah.
I think if he had a cost reduced by 2 every time one of your troops dies, he would be better. That's super simple. Like that's not even like changing anything else about him. The problem is he's a high cost troop, which in a faction that doesn't need high cost troops, and then his buff is like it's almost at that point that it comes out. It's like, what's the point? Like if I'm killing troops, like either we're playing a different game where that's going to matter, or it's a win more situation.
I mean, yeah, unless you're playing him on curve at 7 energy and then dropping speeders the next turn to buff him, like when they die. But I've never seen that happen. So
No.
Yeah.
Like the only way I can see Macer working is if you somehow steal Caliban from the Defenders of Caliban and play that and just smash troops into the enemy.
And you would need to like escape Venom and stuff. He's at this point for a legendary. He's not worth.
No.
Right.
I think if you could, this is a super meme deck just to do it, to see if you could do it. Your best bet to do would be Astral Incursion and then Escape Vent and then play him at like 2 energy and then throw down a couple speeders so that he pumps and then you stealth him. And even then he's still susceptible to some removal, options.
Yeah.
Even then, you have not made him good.
No.
That's the issue we have here.
No, we're talking like 4+ cards just to play him.
Just to play him at what the game expects you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, personally, I mean, I understand Gorefather being a legendary for what it does, because Cleave 2 on a Warlord who doesn't die, that's pretty gnarly that in some games. But at 6 energy, it seems like it's a higher cost than Gorechild. And obviously, Gorechild, if Gorechild costs 6 energy, I don't think it would get played at this point, especially because Khorne's Favor exists. And it's really only getting played in some matches where like you draw it and you can play it on 5 energy or less. So it's way back in the day, a long time yonder. It was, why wouldn't you play it? Like there wasn't a whole lot of other options. Now there's so many more options with neutrals or ways to increase your attack or just do straight damage. So it's one of those cards that you could easily do without. It's great having a 4-attack Angron, but you don't need a 4-attack Angron all the time.
Yeah. You can just make your way through just normally.
Yeah.
And the Cleave is, his other axe is so niche you don't run it.
It is. It's like when a player plays it and they use it successfully against me, I'm like, hey, you know what? Props to you. Good job. You put it in your deck and it worked for you this game. But there's so many games where you just don't see it because nobody plays it. Or maybe because it's those games just like this card will do you no good. If you're playing against another mono warlord, Gorefather does nothing for you. It doesn't even heal you. It doesn't give you, Survivor. Like, if it was 6 energy and you played it and it was heal your Warlord 3 and they gain Cleave 2, that would make it better just for the heal, just for the heal alone. But it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And Wraith is another legendary that it's good for Kharn if you ping him. Long time ago, he used to be a 5/3, so you could get a lot more mileage out of him. And the units that he made were 5/5s.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was at a time when Angron didn't have his attack reduced if he had troops. So there was no. They were overtuned. They dialed back Wraith, but they still gave him some teeth, and he's still effective for Kharn. He doesn't do anything for Angron necessarily, although Angron decks can still run Argus Brawn if they choose to.
Yeah. They don't often, but I've seen it a couple times.
I usually ran both with it, but
Like, I'd say the favorite legendary for me is the Argus.
Yeah.
Because if you get Kharn and Barsk and you get it right, he's just a game ender.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I think there's
pretty
been
much all they got going for him.
I think there's been several Crucible bosses who've been beaten by Argus Brawn. Like, just getting the right setup, draw protection, and then boom, next thing you know, like, out the gate, like, 32, 64 damage. Like,
Yeah.
it's nice. Obviously, it's a classic play you should see coming, although with Angron, you don't always see it. So when they do play with Angron, it's kind of a surprise, because that's the one advantage he's got going for him, is like, you might cycle back your Melgator or your troop stuff, because you're like, it's Angron. Seek and Destroy isn't doing much good, and then all of a sudden, boom, he drops Argus Brawn. You're like, dang it.
Because I've had a few games where I dropped Argus and got to like 32 damage and just ended it. It was great.
Yeah. It's fun to see. It's that in itself is one of those like plays where you're like, all right, I did it. I made it happen. I feel good about myself.
Yeah.
The rest of the time I'm playing World Eaters, though, I don't feel good. I feel pretty...
It hurts.
Yeah, I play the World Eaters, really, when I play Kharn and I play Angron to get through my dailies quickly. If I've got some of those games where I'm like, you know what, I don't have a whole lot of time, I'm just going to play World Eaters and go with it. Sometimes I'll play Dar to spice things up.
Fun.
Yeah, just for fun, because, I mean, the ping factor is a thing.
I was just reminiscing of old Dar. His old... Do you remember OG
I loved old Dar. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was...
Well, do you remember that he had Rage, old Dar?
Yeah, you're talking like the one day that they gave him? It was like 1 hour.
The one day they gave him Rage until they realized you can't do that because of mirror matches.
Yeah, mirror matches. It was basically first to damage wins.
For the people at home, his ability used to be Rage, deal 1 damage to a random enemy unit. Or a random unit. I forget. Maybe an enemy unit.
It was enemy unit, yeah.
So if 2 Dars mirror matched and you spent your turn just facing him, you would win. Because it would not stop.
Yeah, you would deal 2, he would deal 1, you would deal 1 back, he would deal 1 back. So you'd already be up 1 if you went first.
Yeah. Basically, they let that last an hour before they went, this is a problem.
I liked his version before they changed him altogether. Like, I don't mind his change. It's different.
I do too.
It still supports troops, but his original was deal 2 damage to the enemy warlord and 1 to adjacent... No, deal 1 damage to the enemy warlord and 2 to adjacent troops for 2 energy. So he could sit back and kind of crowd control.
It was like Zardu, except less RNG.
Not RNG at all, yeah. Like your opponent
so
would have to play
I meant
around
less
it.
by none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The downside to him, the reason why nobody played him was because he had 30 health, which, for what he was putting out was pretty hard. And even at the best times, like the best thing he could counter would be like Korax or Night Lords. Like with their stealth stuff, that wasn't even an option. Like there's like, all right, you will not have troops on the board. By the time you get troops on the board, I'll finish it up in classic World Eaters style. But those games could still be close because he had the 30 health. And I was just like, just give him the 5 health and he'll be fine. But they gave him 5 health and then they changed him around altogether. He's still fun to play. He's really the only warlord that in any sort of way like supports troops.
My issue is that they changed them to be more of a troop support, but didn't really help the troops enough.
No. There are a couple of good troops, but they still have, the speeders. The Wraith speeders are still a problem. Like, if you didn't have those speeders, if those speeders were 2-1 or a 3-1, they don't have to be 1. I mean, they might as well be 2 health. But I'm just saying, like, if they were 1 health less, and if Sweeping Advance was a +2 instead of a +3, maybe you might see them played a smidge less, but fast units are fast units. Like, fast is never going to be a problem.
Damage is a damage. People will always play it.
I think if they had a conditional fast, that wouldn't be bad.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Yeah, like if your opponent's warlord has, like, I don't know, like 20 plus health, or if your opponent's warlord, like, I don't know what you would do. Like, if your opponent has more than 1 unit in play, gains fast.
Yeah.
Maybe more than 1 damage unit. Yeah.
That could be interesting. Yeah, because their warlord will be damaged, but you've got to damage a troop, and then you get a fast speeder.
Yeah, if troop is damaged, like if an enemy troop is damaged, do blank.
Mm-hmm.
Which reminds me, I'm saying Harl, the current event warlord, should be Kharn.
Yeah,
that should be the new Kharn.
I like that ability.
It's unique. It's different for the people at home. Harl is, if an enemy troop is damaged, gain Bloodthirst, and he has an active ability of ping 1 damage for 1 energy.
That is good. A lot.
I mean, it's not exactly great compared to current Kharn, but it's a change he would need to not be an annoying cunt.
Well, yeah,
and maybe the matches will last longer.
It's a conditional Bloodthirst, which Harl's got on top of that. He's got Unstoppable, which is really fun.
Kharn wouldn't have Unstoppable.
He wouldn't need Unstoppable, but just being able to say, like, okay, well, if I'm playing troops, I'm potentially giving him a Bloodthirst, but he has to pay a resource to get it. Mm-hmm. It would just change the timing altogether. Like, I mean, because Kharn games are the fastest games out there, aside from maybe Garrow, right? Like, 4 or 5 energy, if you guys are both going toe-to-toe, the game's over.
Oh, yeah.
He's hitting for 4 to 6 damage every turn. If you cap that, or if you limit that so he can't get that every turn, or he has to pay resources to his ability, and not play other troops that are gonna, increase their attack, or, the speeders or whatever it is, like, you've actually got a game.
Yeah, because with the free card you get for going second, it's damage to a damaged enemy, which I think that should be a more recurring theme in War Eaters.
Yeah, as opposed to
the bloods in the water.
Well, yeah, personally, I'd rather see that versus the pinging. Like, I think
pinging's not fun.
No,
it would be more. Yeah.
And it's not a good way to represent the word, because a lot of people are like, oh, the word bearers are like this because of the way they play on the tabletop. Not really. Like, Karn's ping is supposed to represent when he misses, he never misses.
Yeah, he's always going to hit somebody because he's the portrayer, because he doesn't care. It doesn't matter who the axe hits, as long as it hits something.
Yeah, even if that means, spoilers, he just starts swinging wildly and takes off an important character's head by accident.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know what I'm referencing, you'll get there soon, and those who do know, that was fucking bullshit.
Yes, it was. Very much so.
Yeah, I think their defining trait initially was the rage, and you can only really get rage if you're getting damaged, so let's make random pings happen. Dar exemplifies that. If you're gonna keep that as an option, then let Dar be the guy who pings, because he has a little bit more control to his pings, and he's still using troops, and then otherwise, if you give them more abilities, like if your opponent has a wounded troop or damaged, whatever, if there are 3 damaged units on board, do X, gain +2/+2, or you could see some actual fun play with the World Leaders. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Like, whenever I play Kharn, the random ability to hit somebody else is just always on him. So if I have like 4 units on the board, I don't want to play the Warlord anymore, because RNG Kharn.
Yeah, that's the problem with the rage of just hit like a random unit. It's so RNG based, it'll just swing around, and you can have the matches where Karn's pings are like magnetized to his face. Fun to play against, not fun to play as.
Right.
I remember the first couple of times I faced Kharn way back when I first started playing. I was playing Tarvitz, and it's like, okay, it's a 30 hit point warlord versus a 35 hit point warlord. Oh, he's got Bloodthirst. I didn't even know what his ability was, and the first 3 turns, his pings just hit my warlord. Like, another hit. I'm like, so does he just have damage hit the other warlord? Like, he's doing 6 damage to my 2? Like, I don't understand. Then it was like, oh, it's random. Like, well, that's not really random. That's kind of odd. But I think the biggest thing with that is, and it's not just Kharn, but Kharn is a perfect example of it, is the random element to the game, the RNG factor in the game. I think I know I've talked to a couple people on the Discord about this in chat with balances and just the approach to some cards. I think at some point early on in the game, because we're too far deep into it now to not to fix it without just blowing up a whole bunch of cards. But we let random stuff be included. We let defensive satellites exist without being irate about it. We let Kharn exist. And I know for some, the element of random, because it's controlled by the PC, it's not necessarily something you could do easily in a tabletop, but because it's a computer game or a mobile game, it can be managed a little bit more efficiently. We can have card creation things that you could never have at a tabletop. But when it comes to random, and the amount of random damage applications, random damage selection, mortar strike, defensive satellites, even artillery strike, even though it's a little less controlled, it still could be, specific. It takes away the element of feeling like there was a skill play made, because like, oh man, you just rolled high, or you rolled lucky, or you just got the unit that you needed to get. But on top of that, it's so prevalent where you have one warlord who his key tied to it, and all he has to do is attack every turn, and 50% of the time it's going to work out in his favor. That just feels like such a big design area where I feel like as a community we didn't realize it, or we didn't catch it, or we didn't complain enough about it. And by the time we did, I think the complaints were started because it was like nobody wanted to play Kharn because his pings were terrible. He always pings himself. He was just always pinging whatever, it's 50%. He was bloodthirst, like that's what he does. But then he gets tools. He gets Khorne's Favor. He gets other things that enhance your warlord. He gets Battle Honor Heal 1. He gets Sneak Attack because of Crucial Choice, or maybe he gets +2 attack because he got the Dow from Crucial Choice. Then he becomes a monster. And he was already attacking twice, and then we realized, like, well, attacking twice wasn't the problem. It was the extra pings. Like, you can attack twice every game. The games are going to be quicker, but then if you add in 50% of that damage hitting my warlord, that's, 4 or 5 extra damage that I shouldn't have taken. There should be some sort of, price for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Kharn is in that gray area of his RNG is pushing the boundaries, but thank God he can at least hit himself.
He can hit himself, and if the more things that are down on the board, it dilutes, what he's going to hit, and you can kind of control it as a Kharn player. Like, okay, well, I'm going to play my troops first, so I don't ping myself, or you play your troops after the pings have happened, whatever you want to do. It's just one more RNG card in a game that is pretty loaded. I feel like at this point, expansions don't get made if at least like 4 or 5 cards don't have some random element to them.
Yeah, now that you mention it, yeah, I noticed that.
So moving from the legendaries, as far as the legendaries go, is there debate on what the best legendary is?
No.
Crucial Choice. That's about it.
Well,
No, we're talking about World Eaters still. I even move on Crucial Choice.
Yeah, Crucial Choice is the best legendary for World Eaters too. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
I'm saying Anal Fissures is currently the best legendary, and if you tell me the name is anything else, you're wrong. Because that shit is crazy.
Yeah, for me, it'd probably be Argus. To be honest,
Argus, I would have to say Argus is good, but unlike Wrath, Argus can't be played in every World Eater deck and be good.
Yeah.
Because, with Wrath, you're getting a minimum of a 7 attack worse from it. Argus, you may not even get the 4 off, but Wrath will die and produce at least one more copy of himself. And Kharn can make that easily of the 2 Wrath Berserkers. When I say copy, I meant Berserkers. You get the point.
He can technically copies, but yeah.
You can get 3 if you heal him. Yeah, if you do the Cardoc and you heal him for 2.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Or back in the day...
I sometimes forget you can heal them.
Yeah, back in the day when you had you would play with Alpha Theta on a regular basis, you could hit those Mechadrites to give them extra health.
Ooh, that would be an option, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I like Argus Brond over everything else. And I feel like we haven't mentioned Armored Mars because it's a heal 7. It's a heal 6 now, right?
No, it's still 7.
Is it 7 for 6? and that's it. Like, I mean, you could, if you're on 1 health and you play that card and you get a draw, like, you're probably already losing the game at this point.
Yeah, like it returning in order to activate its return, you've already lost. 10 HP in Legions nowadays, especially, that's the lethal range. Almost everyone has a reach, and if they don't, they will next turn.
Yeah, although if you're Angron, you might have Survivor, like Manifest Destiny or something like that.
Yeah, you can have Survivor.
True, but you'll want to
then you have the
at that
ultimate.
point. Most of the times in that scenario, you want to force Reckoning, or Whispers in his case.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But the problem is Whispers heal is too much for the return.
Ours pretty much only gets played with Angron anymore. It used to maybe be on card.
I'm saying nowadays it's not even used with Angron. Like it's like Cursed Wanderer for the Agents of Sigilate. When was the last time you've seen those two cards played?
People pop that for some reason, but yeah.
I have never seen Cursed Wanderer played. The only time I've seen it played is when I tried to make it work and then realized it doesn't.
I see, Malcador or Rubio people play it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm actually
Yeah,
shocked.
Cursed Wanderer is like a last
not a good
stand.
It is a Manifest Destiny that's a faction exclusive.
At a higher
I don't
cost.
recommend it, folks at home. Oh yeah, and higher cost and more Survivor, but it's one of those cards. Its curve is also high enough where you don't really want to spend your 8 energy turn doing nothing but giving you, or 7 energy. I forget what it costs.
7.
Survivor?
At 7, I think.
Yeah. You kind of don't want to spend your entire turn giving yourself Survivor. The only time I see it usable
is when you get the seal to make it cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
like 0 cost. But at that point, you could also use that seal to drop something bigger, like Kerberos.
and that's my Agent of Sigilant rant.
Yeah, I haven't played them enough to have an opinion about them, so.
I don't know, with Armor of Mars, like, I know why they nerfed it to where it is, because that was really the card that was carrying the World Eaters for a long time, which was also Erlin, which we haven't mentioned.
You don't see him anymore.
I
mean, I remember games where people would get off 3 Armor of Marses, and it would be pretty fucking annoying.
Yeah, and all the while dealing 3 damage to you each turn, so over that turn you've taken 9 damage, and they've healed like 21 damage.
Yeah, that was not fun.
Well, and it was, the old version, and for a long while, it was just a guaranteed, like, what was it? Originally, it was, if you control no troops, this card goes back to your hand, and increases the cost by 1. And then, I think they changed it to, if you control no troops, I think it was still, if you control no troops, return this card to your deck and draw a card. And now it is what it is currently, where it's not even conditional on the troops. It's just your health has got to be below a certain thing, and then you might get it back into your deck to draw a card. On top of that, it also now can be used to heal a troop as opposed to your warlord. And sometimes, if you misclick, you can accidentally heal your opponent's warlord because it no longer is an automatic, like, on the warlord. You have to make sure you're picking who you're healing.
Which I've had some fun moments where I've just healed the enemy warlord during an event because I was losing.
Yeah.
But Armor of Mars at this point is, I want to say, useless. It's not bad on paper. Like, that's a lot of HP. But if you were ever going for the bounce condition, you've already lost.
No, your best bet is to play it as soon as you can play it. Like, if you got nothing else to play at 6 energy, heal yourself. Give yourself some more time to get to the late game and do some more crazy things. It's not what it used to be, where it's like, all right, now we are in the end stretch, and I'm just going to delay everything by healing and playing 1 extra card, or healing and play 2. Like, it's the other way around. I don't know. As far as, like, the Legendaries go, I feel like, just like with many of their cards, they need a rework, or they need to have a focus. Like if you had warlords that were not so high damage dealing, and specifically Angron and Kharn, Armor of Mars could easily be toned down or toned up, and you would make it better. Like if it was like heal 4 to all your units, and if you control a troop, return like just a guaranteed go back to your deck and draw a card for 6. That could be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if you actually got to play the heavier World Eaters troops, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a faction built for it, and they have some good troop support cards, like the Drop Pod one.
I like that one. It's thematically, that's cool. unfortunately, it doesn't do a whole lot. And I don't think, even if we get the Loyalist reward from this Battle for Bot campaign, which gives all your drop pods +1/+0, I don't think that's going to make a difference. I don't think people are necessarily going to run that card. If you get that card, it's usually because Kaiser Lane didn't give you much else to work with.
I don't even think we're gonna I don't even think we're gonna play that card if we get it, because it's so niche. It's not good.
No, even the Blood Angels, I don't see them playing that.
No, drop pod would need to be something that's in every faction for this to work. Because right now it's built in. It's in 2 factions, I think. Built in.
Horus and Blood Angels.
Yeah, cards that give it. I think it's in another 4 or 5.
Yeah, the Space Wolves have got a couple ways to get drop pod, but they don't have it on their stuff.
Yeah, and I think Orphans of War have a couple more ways to give it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But World Eaters have ways to give it. Now, EC have a way to give it. Still, that's out of all the legions, including neutrals, even though they're not and unaligned. There's 23, 26, no, 24 factions. More actually. Some saying 26. Number doesn't matter. And I think total 6 of them have drop pod, maybe 7.
Yeah, they might have. Some of those might just have the odd 1 or 2. It's not even a full bunch of units with drop pod.
This card is dead on arrival.
But I will say this:
an Emperor's Wrath.
I would rather see that card added to the game than the
better death sets.
No, get rid of that card. That's just
You don't want better death sets?
No, I don't.
I don't. Is it better? I don't know if it's better. I mean,
it's a minimum and maximum have both increased by 1. And then it's identical to
I'm just saying though, better in terms of would you want that in your deck?
Oh, I already know a lot of people waiting for it simply because it's better death set. And it's more burn fuel.
It's more burn fuel, and with it being a tactic, some decks can reduce the cost of it, or play it for whatever. You got
So, I mean, yeah.
8, well, yeah, but if you get it to 0 because you've got Warp Chicken, or if you play it for 6, it's still way better than playing death sets at 5. I don't like it. I think we have so many board wipe options that just having that card added to it feels like such overkill when we can barely get good troop builds that people don't say are toxic, because the ones that exist are they have to be cancerous in order to even thrive.
Yeah, which my question would be to every guild was to say just what would be the focus to rebalance the game to make it more slightly fair rather than just built on meta and cancer.
Yeah, it's a good question. I've gotten a lot of questions so far about balancing. And I mean, not specific balances, but in terms of what is every guild's approach. How do they look at balancing? What is their focus with their balances? What do they take into consideration? I'm kind of looking. I mean, it's a multi-tiered question at this point because so many people have kind of submitted their ideas, but they kind of all loop into that one concept. And when you're balancing, when you're taking existing stuff and you're saying this isn't working compared to what we've got, let's tweak what we've got to make it work, fine. But then you take a new card, which you don't even have to have. You're injecting something like this doesn't even yet exist. You're choosing to make this an option. How do we get to this point? Somebody had to look at that card and be like, you know what? That's a good idea. Let's put it in.
This can't go wrong.
And we've had plenty of ones where after the fact, even though a lot of the players can say, we knew we could see the problems with this right out the gate, desperate defense. Even then after the fact, it was okay, well, we made a mistake. We'll make a correction. We didn't have to get to that point if it wasn't put out there to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Anal Fissures was added to the game, 2 weeks ago? Not 2 weeks ago. 2 events ago?
Yes, I think so. It's been about a month.
It's only going to be worse as time goes on. Because that is now it's not as bad as Solar Auxilia and Desperate Defense. It's not like a deck archetype. But it's now just one of those. And I put something in game that obviously should not have been put in at this energy.
Exactly.
Because with this combo, and it's very simple, hold at all costs, drilling sights and tactical brilliance can absolutely ruin someone's life on the same turn an Astral Incursion is played. That's your entire play, but that's a Subjugator Titan on 5e. That is...
See, I think there's other broken stuff with...
Oh, yeah, no, you're 100% right, but it's just scenarios like that where that should not happen, but it's happening.
That stupid tank that was useless before, that now
Hammer?
Now everybody plays discounted as fuck. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Hammer of Justice.
Oh, I'm just happy Hammer of Justice is having its time in the sun. Okay?
I'm not, because it flips the board and they suddenly become way ahead, but, whatever.
Well, obviously we need some adjustments to other cards, but I think Hammer is finally in a good spot, because it's now a niche frontline card. It will get rid of a random 4 attack, at the energy it's supposed to be played at, or around there.
Yeah, but it's not. It's discounted always.
That's what I'm talking about. Astral Incursion. Any other natural EC discounting, they have worse things to do at that time. I'm fine with that. There's no shielded Terminator being forced on me. There's no bullshit involving a Subjugator Titan. There could be.
I think Astral really should be nerfed slightly, as to where it's a troop equal to the cost of it. Not just like, 5 less. You got a 10 cleave unit.
It definitely needs a change, but I don't know what to do to it.
I guess I feel like I haven't been hit that hard with that card yet. I mean, sometimes it's annoying, but I've usually been playing stuff where I've got pretty good removal anyway, so it's not terrible, but...
I've had some fun with it, but I set out to have fun with it. So I haven't... I mean, there's room in there for mega abuse. Every faction has got at least one big fatty. I think for me, I did a Word Bearers build with Erebus and then that Dreadnought that's got the Demon Dreadnought that's got Ward and Terror. And
the one that's never played.
Yeah, and if you set up your timing right at 6 energy, you can drop down that Dreadnought and then have your spawn portal, produce, and then start another portal. And if you're really lucky and your Warp Rift has gotten Ward or Survivor, your opponent has no way to, get rid of that stuff, or they can get rid of one, but they can't get rid of the other. But that's a Mimi thing. Or then you've got Mortarion, who can drop Death Shroud, and that's pretty nice. He's then tied to the Death Shroud and nothing else, but it's not possible to build a deck around. I know a couple players have done something with Arvida in the Agents of the Sigilate, and then using him with a bunch of cheap cost tactics, I think, to just drop him for 2 energy and then flood the board and just clear everything and have a whole bunch of stuff in hand on top of that. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to abuse the card. Everybody can abuse the card. There's not a single faction that doesn't have a card to not abuse it. The problem is it being abused to the point where it's making games unfun? And I'm sure for some it really is. I think for most, if you're losing to that because your opponent played a card that they shouldn't have been able to play 4 turns early. There's ramp, and then there's this is just breaking the game. Emperor's Children have ramped. They always have. There's the Ornitov and Fail have ramp to a degree that they always have. That's not going to be a problem. You can throw in, Desolate Ground as well if you want to talk about other ramp builds. Games have ramp. I don't know if there's games out there that have hey, pay 3 energy to play up to an 8 energy cost card.
I just see that Astral, as time goes on especially, is just going to get worse and worse. So I'm hoping they nip that in the bud soon.
It will be worse and worse.
Yeah, it wasn't included in the November patch, but it could be adjusted in the December patch. Although that is probably going to depend a little bit on what the meta report shapes off of. I would have to imagine. I don't see that. The thing is, and I say that, I mean, I don't personally, I don't give the meta report a whole lot of stock. It's interesting to see, but there's just a lot of information that's never on it, so it doesn't feel like it's complete to me. But
see the episode where we talked about it.
Yeah, but I don't see enough complaints or vocal complaints about Astral Incursion At least in the open forums, I mean, unless people are sending emails to every guild, I don't see enough complaints compared to some other cards that, like Crucial Choice, Kharn's Favor. These were things that we all knew were problems. We were all dealing with. We were all frustrated with, and we were all voicing our opinion. I'm not seeing that with Astral Incursion. As a matter of fact, I'm actually seeing way more people voice their disdain and dislike of Hold at all costs, which justifiably so. I mean, it in and of itself is a problem. You put the two cards together and you have a super problem. So maybe we need to do a little bit more voice raising and waving to those who will hear to make that change. Because if it doesn't get changed in December, honestly, I think that might be a reason why, is we're just not vocal enough.
Are you saying that we have to ring the town bell to get EG's attention?
I think sometimes we might need to. I think, and I mean, not.
Or we could set fire to the town hall, but yeah.
Yeah, set fire to the town hall is good for the one time that you need to do it. So hopefully it matters.
Well, they can always rebuild it. I can always burn it again, but they can always rebuild it.
Yeah.
Axel does not condone arson unless it's for entertainment purposes.
Exactly.
Good to know.
We do not condone violence.
Unless it's for entertainment purposes. And then it's allowed. This is the crab's words. Hopefully none, because who hangs around town halls nowadays?
That's true.
Besides the people working there. And they'll see me lighting it up. Yes, I'm the one doing it.
Most of the town halls are probably also not in a great place in the city where you want to hang around.
Yeah, they're usually around Main Street, so no one hangs around Main Street.
Yeah.
Tourists walk past the Main Street and go, this place is neat.
Right.
And then they see the illegal activity, and then they go,
this has character. It has character. It's quaint.
The two people dealing some form of substance in that alleyway, those are characters. Tell us about Las Vegas Town Hall. How's that stuff?
Las Vegas Town Hall, City Hall downtown is, it's not a place you want to go. First off, the parking there is a pain in the ass. Yeah,
non-existent.
2 blocks away. Like, there are actually people, last time I was there was for like a speeding ticket. And like 2 hours. 2 hours just to get in to get a number, to have a seat for another 2 hours. But there are people there, and I don't know what their profession used to be or what their lifestyle is like now. But they don't look like they're professionals. They don't look like they're people who are supposed to be there. But they make a job sitting in your spot, like to make sure that nobody else like takes your spot, or like you can pay somebody like, here, put money in my meter, because it's all metered parking down there, and maybe give them a little something extra. And supposedly, like, that's something that those people do. Like, there's like a group of like 5 or 6 of them. They're not employees of any sort of business. It's really weird. And at the same time, you're like, well, what if I don't pay them? Then what are the repercussions? So they eventually moved a lot of City Hall business to other buildings outside of the strip, like off the strip, into other areas with newer buildings. That's mainly where people go that don't want to go. Like, I think the problem was, what it came down to it is they're like, listen, we can't even get our employees to go down here anymore. We gotta come up with something else.
They're never in good places, because they put it in the center of town, which is never a good place.
Oh, you bastards in City Hall. It's a song by Tenacious D about City Hall.
Tenacious D is a treasure to our people.
It's a good thing.
I was going to say generation.
Yeah, Tenacious D for me ties back to 40K, because for one entire summer, we would play the entire Tenacious D, the first CD, like just on loop constantly while we played 40K in the garage. So like by the end of the night, we'd heard the CD on loop like 3 or 4 times.
I'm impressed you found a way to loop it back to 40K.
Hey, it all relates to 40K in one way, shape, or form.
40K is like that.
Aside from War Eaters, the one faction I would like to see we work on is Custodies.
Yeah, a lot of people are asking for the Custodies rework. I saw a few questions in the Q&A, or at least one about Custodies.
I've had a couple for Custodies and Night Lords as well.
Here's the problem with Custodies getting a rework. They already perform very good high up. Though all the decks look identical, issue is, I guess they have, like, I don't know how to put this in the word. Custodies work. They're fine. They're just not friendly. They're extremely they're extremely hostile to users, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look at the German Valdor. That guy can make Custodies work like no tomorrow because he devoted his life to it. But Nassau, even Amon lately, and occasionally Valdor, they go crazy up in top metas. So I think if a rework does happen, I think I mentioned this a few episodes ago, it needs to be something small, like just the changing of definition of traits and maybe a few stats to change their playstyle.
Like, the one problem I have is Paragon Spear. When fighting them, it's terrible. When you're playing them, you can't get it. It's terrible either way. So, changing that little bit will help everybody.
I feel like, well, it depends on what you do, because, that was extremely vague. Paragon Spear as is, it's a good card, but I think it's just completely fine. It's a war gear. If you draw the war gear, you're going to have a lot better time than if you don't draw the war gear. Which, bringing war gear back to World Eaters. I don't understand why Gorechild is a epic while Gorefather is a legendary.
Yeah.
It's never made sense to me.
I think because, the child should not be as strong as the father. The difference is game terms, one is definitely better.
And in
child can like repeat. You got 2 out of 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I just mean from a technical standpoint, why does he have 2 war gears? Because the fact that it's epic means he can have 2 of them. Father and child were 2 chain axes that were identical. Well, they were visually a bit different, but they were the same chain axe. It would be like if mercy and forgiveness were 2 different weapons, but forgiveness was an epic.
I just like the idea
make sense to me.
Of Angron doing like the 3-axe wielding style where he's got an axe in both hands and one in his mouth.
Yeah. Which also upsets me that his art has a different axe than his war gear. Or at least his what was the art? His alt art. Because alt art, I'm pretty sure has
yeah, he's kind of got that like halberd, right?
Well, it's not. It's just a 2-handed axe. It's the Widowmaker.
Oh,
it's the one that Lehman Russ breaks during their fight.
Hmm.
So if you play him and you have Gorechild, both Gorechilds and Gorefather, you have 4 axes, which is enough for Axel, Jaxel, the Axeman Manning, but it's too much for anyone else to handle.
It's so much axe.
I think Angron's secret power is just General Grievous. 4 arms.
There you go. He just pulls out more axes.
That's still too many hands. It's like even if you're Grievous, you still have to hold 5 hands worth of axes.
He's basically that prepubescent boy about to hit on his date where he just empties a whole can of Axe spray all over himself.
Or the average middle schooler.
Yeah.
Yep.
Built different.
What is this Axe body spray in here? Jesus.
What is this, shampoo? No, it's a can of Axe body spray. What the fuck?
It can also be used as air freshener. So.
Can it?
Yeah, a little bit.
It can.
I use it.
Why not?
It will cover up most smells.
Yeah.
Cover up your ability to fucking smell an hour doing that.
Yeah.
I had one time my friend got married, and we were staying at the lodge. It was up in Mount Charleston, Las Vegas. The lodge that just actually happened to just burn down like a couple months ago.
Know. Oh, it's such a nice lodge.
It was very nice, and we stayed there. And before we went to bed, we had dinner at the restaurant downstairs. It was not great. And my friends had the patty melt, and they stayed in one room together. And they had the stinkiest farts all night long. Like they were telling us like the next day, man, like all we did was just fart all night. We opened up the window in the middle of like February to try to get it to air out. It was so bad. And at one point, like my one friend, like he went into his bag and just got a can of Axe body spray and just like sprayed it all in the room to try to cover up the smell. Like I went there, it was like 8 a.m, knocked on the door, opened it up, and like this mixture of like Axe body spray and human excrement like hit me. I was like, what the fuck is in your room? Like, we've been farting all night. We couldn't help it. It was the patty melts.
Goddamn patty melt.
I was glad I did not have the patty melt. I was like, god damn. It was a good story. It was a good it's one of those things that we always remember. And every time we think about Axe body spray, it reminds me of patty melts.
Listen, Axe body spray exists for 2 reasons. To become the main cleaning item of middle school boys and to be made into a flamethrower. There's no in between.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
If you tell me... I mean, that's my primary bug removal. Is a lighter and a can of something. Simply because I ain't fucking with spiders in my property.
I like getting a box of Axe product for like a holiday gift. You know, I wouldn't mind like if I got a box of like Gorechild and Gorefather as a holiday
To be fair,
gift.
if someone gave me an axe as a gift at all, like a literal axe, I would have too many questions.
I think chain axes are cool. Like, I mean, if I had like a hatchet or a fire axe, I don't think there's any, like even a battle axe, like even if it was like a battle axe from, you know, like dwarven battle
I own
axe.
like 5 of them.
Now,
like
give me
5 wood axes and hatchets. Don't ask.
Well, you're in Canada, so I just take that as like that's just the typical, you know, sidearm in Canada. It's like
Also, I am the Axeman. Oh, sorry, Phil.
On the topic of chain bayonets will make the guard better.
chain bayonets.
Chain bayonets?
Yes.
Nah, okay. I mentioned this a few episodes ago in relation to chain swords. Chain any weapon is garbage. The only reason they exist is fucking rule of cool.
And
I still think power swords are cooler because they're like big lightsabers.
I mean, the best chain weapon that I can think of outside of the chainsaw, which is cool, but I mean, it's like the logistics of it are kind of wonky. Is the chain that Ghost Rider's got? Like, that's a badass.
God
chain.
damn it! This isn't even 40K. What are we doing here, Scuff?
Well, no, because we're getting there because Ghost Rider actually inspired Hell Rider in the old 3rd edition of the game. You guys remember Hell Rider?
I saw you were going to talk Doomrider.
Oh, that's what I meant. Doomrider. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Doomrider's still around, which is my issue.
It's a character. What legion did he belong to? I cannot from my.
We don't know. No, his lore is no one knows where he's from. They think he's Emperor's children, but they also equally think he could be someone else, like a post Heresy Legion.
Okay. Well, I mean, he was one of those special characters that you could take in any army. That was one thing where it was like, okay, you can take him, because back in the day it was like if you fielded like Crimson Fist, you couldn't take, you know, any other special characters other than Captain Cortez, who was awesome. His model sucked. But for Chaos, it was like, oh, like this is before like 3rd edition. They didn't quite they didn't quite do the, hey, I'm taking a Night Lord's army or I'm taking a Word Bearer's army, and then they kind of worked into that eventually. We're like, okay, yeah, if you're going to take a Warlord and he has the mark of whatever, then you may take Khorne Berserkers as troops, and then you are basically your World Eaters. Like, that's, why wouldn't you be? That's what the entire faction became eventually, was Berserkers, because that's all your stuff is anyways. And on top of that, like, I don't think you could have Rhinos, or if they had Rhinos, they had to move forward because they were always just trying to get at the enemy. So it was just some things like you couldn't include. Like, it wouldn't make sense to take Fabius Bile with the Death Guard, who didn't have Typhon at the time. He wasn't even a character or a model. So Doomrider was kind of like, that was it. That was your guy. That was your kind of catch-all special character. I played one game with my friend against him. Like, he had the Doomrider, and it wasn't terrible, but at the same time, you know, it was okay. It felt like a chaplain on a bike more than anything. It didn't feel like one of those special characters that broke the game. But then he wasn't in any of the other codexes after that. I was like, whatever happened to him? Just like that, he rode off into the warp and was never seen again.
To be fair, it was for the best. I don't think he's been mentioned since 3rd edition, to be complete. I think he was mentioned in a book in which he died. Well, no, they have his head on a stick.
Oh, okay. Well, that's too bad.
Apparently the head was still alive, though, so, like, he may come back.
Didn't he have a skull on the front of his bike? Like, I mean, just the idea of his model, like, opens up so many possibilities for a modeling perspective. Like, why would they bring that model back? And then, if you really want to go to it, make him Ghost Rider and give him a flaming chain spinning around. Look at that. Look at that shit. I'm not a fan of the banshee-looking face, but look at that bike.
For the people at home, I just posted the model. It's not the best. I think he has another one.
Okay, I've seen that before.
Yeah, you got to have. Look, if you're gonna ride a Chaos bike around, you've got to have blades on your wheels. But then he's got the pincer blades on the top too, so he can like run right into somebody and like, you know, impale them.
But the issue is you could run into somebody if your wheel wasn't in front of the blades.
Right.
So you're doing that, but you're slamming the front of your bike into it as well.
It's kind of like a Green Goblin looking blade thing at the front.
Yeah, at least he's got guns on it.
He did well. Yeah, is that a combi?
Like the way I think of it, the tire hits the legs and forces them to stab themselves on the spikes.
Yeah, but if you're hitting a person with a bike, you're already missed. He has a sword for that.
Well, if his blades were a little bit longer, then they wouldn't get caught in the wheel, but then they would be stuck on the blade. Like, I think the best thing to do would be to put the blades.
The blade should be on the side,
like a T, right? Yeah.
Welcome to the World Eater podcast, where we talk about how Doomrider is not built to work.
Doomrider is now World Eater canon. I'm calling it.
He could be anything. I know he's purple in that, but let's be real here. And Chaos Marines often color themselves whatever they want. And
that's right.
Yeah, like hot pink.
Like hot pink.
His fuel is blood. Doomrider. This summer.
He looks so stupid. It's not a good model. 3rd edition did not have good models.
No, their good models were like very rare.
I think 3rd edition was the point where they started getting, hey, maybe we should get better models.
No, that was 4th edition. 3rd edition was where let's do anything and see what happens.
Their best models in 3rd edition, I think, were just their troop kits, because they gave you all the pieces to do all the customization you want. Like, if you were doing a special character, 9 times out of 10, it was going to be metal, which sucked already. And then it was going to be stuff that was like, very static poses, something that they could sculpt easily. And then faces were not fantastic. I just feel like their troop kits for almost across the board were the best. Eldar were the exception because all their troop kits were metal. So fuck Eldar, fuck Dark Eldar. They just got hosed.
Dark Eldar particularly didn't look good.
Oh, Dark Eldar is so ugly, dude.
They were outdated because they just looked like edgier normal Eldar.
Well, GW agrees with that sentiment because Eldar hasn't been updated yet.
Yeah, when they did the Dark Eldar plastics, though, those look so good.
Because you got to look at Dark Eldar. Eldar during 3rd edition, Dark Eldar were just Eldar, but they listened to like garage rock during high school. That was the only difference.
That was the way to describe it. They're like Eldar, but they're into grunge.
That was the word I was looking for. When I went for G, I meant grunge.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, the Dark Eldar. The first time I saw the Dark Eldar, I saw the homunculi models, and I was like, "What the fuck is that? Like, it's so ugly." And the guy's like, "This is Dark Eldar. I keep hoping they'll make new models." And then one day they did.
The best example of that is the fucking the flyers they have. What are their?
You're talking about like the ones that are on the bikes or the ones that are on the gliders?
No, not even that. The ones with wings.
Oh, the wings, right.
I can't remember their name, but in 3rd edition, they were just dudes with metal wings.
Yeah. And now
4th edition, they were birdmen.
They became like experiments, like people who got experimented on and mutated, and some of it was willfully and some of it wasn't. They expanded the lore too, which I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, which I was about to say. 30 didn't have them be these like weird genetic mutants. They were just grunge rock. They listened to My Chemical Romance and
took drugs. Like, their big thing was combat drugs.
They were most people I knew in high school.
they were the people who were like playing 40K, who I knew in high school. It's like, what are they doing? Like, no, we're edgy. We don't play Dungeons and Dragons. We play 40K.
Yeah, that's the model I was thinking of. Their current version are Birdmen.
I like the new version better.
Birdmen are better.
Aren't those like shrikes? Like
yes, something like that. Oh fuck, I think it's Shriekers.
We were talking about the World Eaters, but as any podcast goes, sometimes we go off topic, and I'm going to blame.
Yeah, we've done that very much now.
Yeah, I think we've done that. Well, yeah, I think we drained the source material. Is there anything left to talk about the World Eaters? Because I'm going to blame it on Doomrider. This is how we got here. He took us through the portal of time with his bike. His blood is fuel. His fuel is blood. Doomrider.
Well, that's just the thing with World Eaters. There's such a legion that's gimmick is we hit things and we're angry about it. Almost every legion you can take that apart and go, yeah, that's all of them though. They just exist.
Like,
They're Primarch. has a neat backstory, I guess. Like he's a sad. You're like, oh, he could have done all these great things, but didn't.
I don't know if I.
And
would
in
say
game,
it's
they're
neat.
just boring.
It's pretty boring. Well, in game, I wouldn't say boring is the word. It's very stale and static.
It's
and,
stagnant.
yes.
It's stagnant. There's no other way to play him except I go fast at your face.
Yeah.
That's why I say it's boring.
I would like to see Harl Squad adapted to a Warlord, because I think that's really cool, especially if they changed up the Warlord arrangement for the World Leaders. Who knows?
Yeah.
My last statement would probably be for just rework the rage mechanic and make it to where it's damage units or damage to it.
No, I think Rage as is fine. I think they need more uniqueness though than how many troops they have that Rage is just deal damage to a random enemy unit or random unit.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 90% of their Rage troops.
Yeah.
It's so boring.
What's the point of being the betrayer if everybody's the betrayer?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's beating on each other. It's not just Kharn. It's Kharn and friends beating on themselves.
It doesn't make sense.
World Leaders. I think Pack was the better version of Rage. You know.
Oh yeah.
Like if you had, I mean, they work differently, but at the same time they work in the same way. Like and the Space Wolves have problems too with being really just a Lehman Russ faction at this point. But it is a faction that like says, hey, play troops. You know, use troops, and troops working together will give you things.
Yeah.
And the World Leaders are like, no, just use these couple of troops, and then use a whole bunch of damage, and you'll be better off.
We'll see. I have hopes that we get something here in the future. We got something interesting cooking that we mentioned in the last podcast, in the notes, the missions.
Yeah, missions.
Maybe that could help.
That could be interesting, not to mention whatever new content we've got coming. I hope we get some hard facts and details next week. Dates, what to expect, should be good.
Hopefully Mr. Everguild himself. That's what I'm referring to.
You're going to call him Mr. Everguild?
I'm calling him Mr. Everguild. Hopefully he tells us what we need to know. Mr. Everguild.
But the one question I had in mind, if I was going to ask the Everguild representative...
Add it to the QA list. We take requests.
How many other factions are going to be available, or we just have these?
That's something that's being mentioned. They have right now no plans for new factions, but future down the lines, we may get one in an expansion.
Okay. And the second would be the Emperor himself, because there's voice lines for him, there's interactions, but
there's interactions for characters that weren't even around during it as well, though. I know for a fact that they want the Emperor. There's a chance we'll get him in the future. We'll see, though.
Yeah.
I would feel excited to play the Emperor, but at the same time feel like, man, if you don't win as the Emperor every game, you would just be really disappointed. Like, it would be terrible if they added the Emperor to the game and he came out like, you know, Scoria. Yeah, you're like, oh, it's the Emperor finally, and you're like, oh, man, he sucks.
Yeah. I had that feeling with the Scoria. I'm like, Scoria, finally. Oh, he's lame. Like, he's okay at best.
Yeah, I have fun playing Scoria, but I don't have enough fun, and he certainly doesn't win on the level that I feel like he should.
Scoria should just be his event form. I don't know why we didn't get his event form.
Ooh, yeah.
And the one gripe I do have about the Emperor, what card deck will he have? Custodies, SOS, together, or just his own thing?
All of them?
Everything. Every single card.
Even Trader.
That's his ability. His ability, he doesn't do anything. It's just his ability is you may include 30 cards from any faction in your deck.
Lord, that's going to be super broken.
To be fair, if they were to add him, what would make sense is he gets Sisters of the Silence and Custodies. Because on the tabletop, 30k that is just one army called the Talons of the Emperor. I think they're like that in 40k as well.
Yeah.
But I haven't touched 40k in a long time. But I've played 30k. Costs so much money.
I can't bring myself to spend money on GW at this point. Like, I'm looking at what they're trying to sell, and it's just too much for too little.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I saw Zardu's model. That is a good model, even if I feel like I'm being robbed playing him.
They're making good models, but they're just trying to sell it too much. That's one thing I enjoy about this game is it still gives me a chance to play the setting without having to invest a ton.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I would love for there to be more than one way to play the games. And they just did it. It's been almost a year since they did Aeronautica Imperialis, which is, for those who don't know, it's a 40k setting game of squadron combat. You're playing the Imperial Navy versus either orcs, or I think this most recent expansion was Space Marines and Tau. Problem is,
Tau was a good win.
Was Tau in the first one?
I think they were.
They might have been, but there's only 4 factions in the game for that game. There's no Eldar, there's no Chaos. I don't think there's no Necron. I mean, like the other armies that have flyers. This was a very small box game, with some variations. Like you could buy some models and change up your squadrons. If you've played X-Wing, it's kind of similar in that terms of small scale. But obviously 40k'd up, and you're playing with your various 40k flyers. But out the gate, the first box is like $90, and then that's just with the basic 3 models for each side. I think maybe 5 models for one of the sides, and then you have to buy more from there. And then a year later, you can buy another box of 90 for 2 more different factions, and obviously factions don't mix. You're not going to put orc flyers with the Imperial Navy. That's a lot. That's a lot out the gate. Versus I haven't played X-Wing in a long time, but when I started X-Wing, it was $30, and I had the box to play 2 fighters versus 1, and expansion was $15 for another fighter. I could pay $90 and have the entire first wave expansion, which I did, and have multiple ways to fuel squadrons. And obviously that game has evolved into a 3rd edition, but it's just too pricey. And I would love to play Battlefleet Gothic if they were to bring that back, but I feel like if Games Workshop were to do Battlefleet Gothic as a tabletop, right out the gate, it would be a good $100-$200 investment for 2 ships. That 2 might be an exaggeration. I mean, it might be 4 ships, but still, there's no way you can convince me that $90 is worth the equivalent of 6 inches of plastic.
On the topic of video games for 40k or Warhammer in general, they need to make games that introduce people to it, like Space Marine.
Yeah.
And they have more return profit for it.
This does a good job of introducing people to 30k, I would say.
I agree.
Simply because, let's be real here, how many people were really well versed in 30k before finding this card game? It was a short amount. I know a lot of community members. We know some people in the community who didn't even know 40k before they found this game. Yeah,
and it offers story events where you kind of learn about some rivalries. You get the little lore snippets on the load screen. It's done a decent way of at least bringing you into the setting. And every 2 weeks you get a little something new. I think the campaigns are a great addition to that. To add to that, yeah, I mean, Space Marine was a great game because right out the gate, you're like, what is a Space Marine? Now, you know what a Space Marine is? You gradually learn all the things that he can do. You learn about the orcs, then you get thrown and introduced to Chaos. You're like, oh man, these guys look badass. Dawn of War, the very first Dawn of War was really good.
The middle point, I'd say, is a Horus Heresy video game, similar to Space Marine, as a narrative rather than just an arcade shooter.
I think if anything we'd see is one of those anthology games where every couple chapters you jump between a random person. You could do if you were to do a Horus Heresy game, it would be something in a Battlefield-esque format. So you can jump to the people on the ground in Ishvan, jump to the borders in Fall, jump to the Imperial Fist guarding the wall. You know what I mean? Just
shoot between major moments.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then continue on from that.
What were we saying, Scott?
I was going to say, third-person shooter.
Third-person shooter would definitely work. I feel like there's no first-person shooter 40k games that were really good.
I mean, there is Necromunda, the new one. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm talking about Marines, but even then, that one came out to... I like it. Wasn't great. It's a lot better now that there's been some updates.
I know that...
And then the other one...
Space Hulk was okay. I'll give it that.
What were you saying, stuff?
I was gonna say, I know Necromunda got some slammed reviews from FPS players. I'm not an FPS player, but I really enjoyed the levels. The setting design was really cool.
Oh yeah, it made it like it looked like 40K. It was very good.
I haven't played beyond the first mission for Space Hulk. I really enjoyed that game too. But granted, I understand it's supposed to be played with like more than one player, so that might have been part of the experience that I missed out on. But I liked the. I mean, you got to feel for the Tyranids. Like this is the threat that they are. Here's a Space Hulk. How does it make sense? That's the point of a Space Hulk. It's just a strange amalgamation of structures that got stuck together, and it's a mess of tunnels and corridors, tubes and decks. Good luck figuring out. Your whole point is to survive. You don't get a whole lot of feel for the Astartes, and like your Psyker abilities are pretty skimmed down. I don't know, like if we were doing a new PC version, or system console game for 40K, Horse Heresy, there's so many formats out there. I would rather see a fun one, almost like an action third-person shooter versus like something truly trying to be like super detailed. Because I feel like you couldn't do justice to the setting if you're trying to do super detailed, and at the same time I feel like you would put people off from it. So like if it was an introduction thing, I think if it was just bare bones, like boom, run a gun, shoot, get some cool weapons, have some awesome executions, like just give me Space Marine 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, I think everyone wants Space Marine 2 Electric Boogaloo though. That's the holy game that everyone's waiting for.
And then there is a Rogue Trader RPG game too, rather than the pen and paper.
Rogue Trader is an example. There is a Marine tabletop game. Also, those are all outdated and gone. You could run 30K in Wrath and Glory. Wrath and Glory is actually extremely customizable, but no one fucking plays Wrath and Glory because it's also not as good as the original. Like we mentioned their company just a couple podcasts.
Deathwatch?
Yeah,
might be. No, not Deathwatch. Well, yeah, that's the Marine version. But who made those games?
Fantasy Flight games, yeah.
Yeah, I know we were talking about them just the other day.
Those were good tabletops. It would be nice if they, kept their contract with Games Workshop. Rip Games Workshop separated for some reason.
Well,
GW ever made good decisions.
Yeah, I think they're on a bender of making bad decisions this last couple of years, especially. And I'm hoping things will change around in 2022. But you know what?
Yeah,
I'm not holding my breath.
Well,
I guess putting a cap on the World Eaters. Let's go ahead. Let's run down what's our favorite card and least favorite card of the World Eaters, because I feel like that's about all we can do to kind of sum up. There's so much. I don't want to say junk, but there's so much one-sidedness to the faction. It's really hard to have much more of a discussion. I mean, like if there was a balance patch, I think we would actually have a lot more things to say or speculate about. I think the last balance patch we had for the World Eaters was the one that killed Armor of Mars and changed Dar, and that was about a couple of those ping troops, and that was over a year ago.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So long ago.
In game terms, it's an era, it's an epoch.
God damn it.
Well, we'll start with you, Axel. What's your least favorite and most favorite?
Okay. Fuck. I want to say least favorite has to be their Sedition's Gate, simply because you look at it and then you look at Winnow of the Week and it just hurts. My example would change Seditious Gate to work if an enemy unit's damaged, or if the enemy troop is damaged. If an enemy troop is damaged, remove a random enemy. That would just be something unique to do with the damage mechanic and give them some type of early removal. My favorite's got to be Wrath's. Just Wrath. His units he produced, they're solid. They're 4/4s, and you're spending. He's 3 energy, right? Or is he 4 energy?
He's 4.
He's 4. Well, you're spending 4 energy for a 3/2 that's going to produce at minimum, unless you jam him first. Which what the fuck are you doing? Or hard removal, hard removal him, I guess. You're getting a 4/4 out of it. You could get a max of with enough bullshit you could get infinite 4/4s, but on average you're getting 1 or 2.
It's not bad. It's a solid guy. I like him.
All right. How about you, Phil?
Well, I guess the favorite card would probably be the freaking Speeders, man. I mean, they win games, but as far as least favorite, maybe Braun, because I just feel like I get screwed over by him sometimes, and he never works for me that well.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Admiral?
Still gotta stick with my good boy Arcus for the best ones. And for the worst ones, I say just all the vehicles except for the Sark speeder.
Yeah. They don't got no vehicles going for them. For example, today was the first time I ever saw, I think, Shield Retribution played. Whatever is the 9-7 command vehicle.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that
I saw it played in an event.
The last time I saw that played was against an Erlen bot. And I haven't seen Erlen or Erlen bot in a very long time.
Yeah.
I get Erlen often, surprisingly.
Let's see. Well, my favorite would be, personally, I like Dar. Dar's my favorite. I liked him before the change. I wish he was still old Dar, but I do enjoy him being new. I feel, at the very least, he feels fun and fair compared to all the other warlords. So I'm going to chap him up there as my favorite. Our least favorite, I think I'm going to have to... I mean, anything above 6E, with the exception of Lorg and Hidden Strength, feels like a waste to me. So I feel like if I had to pick one, it would probably be... I don't know. I'm just pulling out my ass here, because every single one of these cards is garbage.
Yeah.
Except for Conqueror. Every single one of these cards is so garbage. I'd probably say Gauss Terminators. I mean, it's a Terminator, cool. It's a 7/8 with rage that can gain +2 and frontline. All right. Or Dort. You know what? Dort. Fuck Dort. Berserk, 7/7. Rage, deal 1 damage to another random unit. So he doesn't need...
Don't bully Dort. He's trying his hardest.
And even at 7 energy, he still can't ping the enemy. I mean, at that point, if you're paying that much energy, you better get what you want. Like, why do you want that?
Like, I think the worst card otherwise would be Blood for the Blood God.
Yeah. I've never seen that, and I know some people have put up screenshots. I have never seen that actually go off and get a Slayer Portals.
Yeah.
I mean, granted,
I don't even believe it.
I don't want to see it.
Then yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see it happen, really. I mean, if you're playing that card in your deck, you might as well be playing Mace or Baron. Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, World Eaters. Well, I think next up...
How we hate you so.
Yeah, seriously. Next up on the Faction Spotlight, we're going to be talking Ultramarines, which I think was initially what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, it was.
And then next week, anyways, we're going to be talking the Q&A, so it might be a couple weeks before we actually get to the Ultramarines, which is the next faction, the Faction Spotlight. And there's a lot more lore, a lot more fluff, a lot more characters. I mean, I don't feel like it's necessarily just the Ultramarines being, the Ultramarines that got them that attention. I think it's a combination of just over the years, so much has gone into developing them. And when you got a faction like the World Eaters that you've already developed, like these guys have chain axes and they like to kill things, there's not much to develop.
Scott, I believe you're trying to say the words Matt Ward here, but you're like struggling to get it.
I didn't want to invoke that name, but now that you have, the Eye of Terror
And,
Studios is shaking and quaking as we speak.
Listen, I can always install new walls. We'll be fine at the end of the night.
Make sure that you instill the runes of protection against the ward. You can't
Matt
say
Ward.
Yeah, the Matt Ward wards.
Well, you always have to have the Matt Ward wards ready for Ward.
Okay.
Well, we're getting to that point. We'll talk about done talking about the subject of the hour, so to speak. So when you're not playing Legions, what do you guys do? Phil, what are you up to?
Right now, not a whole lot really. I mean, as far as other games, nothing's really capturing my attention at the moment. I mean, I have plenty to play. Actually, I was trying this the Phoenix Point XCOM type game.
Oh, Crab XCOM. Woo, woo,
yeah,
woo.
I just started playing that like 2 days ago, so maybe I'll stick with that a bit.
That's fair.
All right. How about you, Admiral?
I've been playing Elite Dangerous. I just got the Odyssey expansion. It has been pretty damn fun.
That's a fun game. I like Elite Dangerous.
Oh, yeah. And aside from that, I've been trying to build Sisters of Battle and rest my Custodies, but oh my god, no. Don't have any motivation.
Do you have those... I'm drawing a blank on the I want to say Hospitalers, but the one sisters with the maces and the shields?
I got the Battle Squad.
Oh, yeah, the Battle Squad, okay. All right. Yeah, like, I don't have a Sister's Army, but there are some models in that line that just look so good. Like, I want to get a box just to have them because they look so cool.
Oh, they look great.
Are they not? They're not Sisters Repentia, because those are the ones with the two-handed chainsword.
And the ones that are essentially naked.
I want to say Hospitallers, but I don't think that's the right word either. I'm gonna have to.
Those are their medics.
Yeah.
Quick, let me pull up.
Pull it up
let me
the site. Between those models and then their warsuit models, I like those warsuit models. Are cool looking too.
Oh, their warsuit models are pretty neat.
Yeah.
They have multiple though,
and
they have their dreadnought kind of.
I really like their Predator. I like the fact that they finally got a tank, and it looks fucking cool.
Sisters of Battle has a dreadnought?
No, they're tank.
Well, I'm using it heavy. No, my dreadnought heavy. It's the it's the ones where they just strap you to the front of it.
The Repentant engine.
Oh,
yeah,
the Penitent engine. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's two models. There's one where they strap you to the front, and one where they put you in a sarcophagus, which is essentially just a dreadnought.
And if you look in Discord, you'll see it.
Yes, truly, that is the one I'm referencing. Or was that the one where they're attached to the front? It's loading. Yeah, that's a sarcophagus variant. They do have a non-protected one.
And I have it right here.
There it is. I was just talking to someone about that the other day. Though I think that might be the outdated. No, that isn't the outdated. The other one is a lot worse. Sisters of Battle have some nice looking stuff. I like the. No, that's just the Inquisition variant. They have some nice models. I like the church organ tank. I want one in real life.
That one was a little bit too much for me, like in terms of like size wise. Like, it's too. Like the organs are cool and they're supposed to fire off like missiles or whatnot, but I like the Predator better because it still has the amount of church gaudiness all over it, but it is scaled down enough where like it still looks more menacing as a Predator than as a piece of church equipment. But I mean, let's be fair. All their equipment is church equipment. That's their lore. So,
yeah.
Good luck with the Sisters Army.
Okay.
Yeah. I just hope I don't break anything.
Yeah.
My favorite model kit I put together was the Primaries Illuminators. They're beautiful.
Oh yeah, those guys. Oh, good. I also Sisters of Battle have a nice model range. I love how they're the exact opposite of the Space Marines, where the higher rank you go up, the more times you wear your helmet.
Right.
Yep.
They actually put their helmets on.
Yeah, opposed to Space Marines, where the minute you become a fucking what's it called?
Sergeant.
Sergeant, you take off your helmet and you realize, who cares if I get hit in the head? I'm named.
How about you, Axel? What are you up to?
I preluded it in the last episode, but I do a lot of DM time because it's a fucking commitment, especially with my players. And by the time you hear this, the session will already play out. But the party are about to walk into a death trap because they've been assholes lately, and I see what happens. They're walking into a town that's just been raided by gnolls. For the people at home who don't know what the gnoll is, it's a hyena that walks on two legs.
Yeah. Are the gnolls going to take the place of the townspeople with poorly mangled face masks?
No, the gnolls are barely sentient. They just exist to eat things. So the party is down their DPS because he's not there today, or the time the session happens. Their other DPS has lost all his powers from his god because he has not been obeying it. And then one support can barely play support, and the other is really the only person they can depend upon. So I'm expecting the party be forged in the fires of battle, or to completely wipe. There's no in between here.
Sounds like the cleric needs to start praying to God.
Clerics? Oh, by the way, new fact today, clerics and paladins since 5e don't need to have they can worship an idea, not a god anymore.
Yeah, personally, I don't know how I feel about that. Like paladins.
Yeah, neither do I.
Paladins of Vengeance, I'm willing to buy into.
Well, I'm personally all the paladins, like Paladin of Conquest, like none of them really require a god.
No,
it's clerics where that gets really.
Clerics
iffy.
is where it gets sticky. Like I personally like that 5th edition has made paladins appealing to players to play, because for the longest time, I mean, even when I was starting playing, like the stigma with paladin was like, okay, you're going to be this tough knight. No one's going to like you because you're just a goody two shoes, and you can't do anything. You can't be around when we steal or break into things. You can't hurt or kill. Like, you have to follow the law at all times. It was the most boring thing to do. Like, you were the biggest obstacle to the party, not the DM. The DM could be like, all right, there's a open cave, and you would be like, well, there's a sign that says we can't go in there, so I'm not going to go inside. And everybody's like, really? Like, this is what my character would do. Just like that. That's like that. So I like the fact that 5th edition has made that not have to be the case.
Yeah. My favorite is a player who's a paladin of Conquest. Yeah, he's Oath of Conquest, where he's like, oh yeah, commit these crimes, but if we get into battle, we leave no survivors. That's my only condition. Because that's what my tenant that's on my arm says I have to do. And everyone's like, all right, man, you're a little intense, but if you let us steal from this orphanage, we cool with it.
Yeah, I've been playing a Divine Soul Sorcerer who has had a...
I don't know what playing a player feels like.
Yeah, I know how it feels. I want to try my shot at DMing, but I probably don't have to.
If you ever DM, you can never un-DM, and that's the issue.
Yeah, you don't want to be the forever DM. Like, enjoy your time as a player. Like, the last time I played was before this campaign started, and now I'm at session 78.
I have so many characters brewing. Like, I have this human variant fucking monk, Kensei monk brewing, who's going to be crazy. I'll never get to play him. Never.
Do you play vanilla or some homebrew?
I do some homebrew, but I mean, it just kind of depends on what you need.
In my opinion, the only things you should be homebrewing items and plot. That's really all you need to like. Maybe a monster here and there for plot reasons, but I'm not one to homebrew classes, subclasses, because more often than not, if someone does that, it's balanced for their world, and that's cool. If I were to make a class, I would like my characters to play it. But if you show up with a fucking class you found on the internet or a class you made, I'm gonna say no to it, just on principle.
Yeah.
No, if I see one more fucking player pull up with Matt Mercer's blood, whatever the fuck, they can play it, I'm gonna tell them no. Say that shit again, and I will hurt you.
Yeah. I think the easiest homebrew really is like you take an existing creature and then you just rename it something else, reskin it, change its damage type, and you're good to go. Like that's the quick and easy way to go about it.
I have done my campaign has 7 of those scattered around the map where it's just I took a creature, made it a construct, and it's now a statue guardian blocking a tomb. And there's 7 of them. And that's all you need to do. It's that easy. That's all you gotta, and even then magic items. Homebrew magic items are fairly simple as well. Like one of my party members, he has a sword that's... what's the spell that lets you change the element of a weapon for an hour? He has that, but it only lasts a minute. And he has to, charge it up. But that's all it is. You just grab something else and you attach it to it.
Yeah. I know the spell, but I forgot the name of it too.
Like elemental something. Homebrew classes are absurd. D&D is obviously, D&D's balanced around what it's got. And balanced is pushing it.
The homebrew I suggest would be making your own enemies. It's like, hey, it's a gnoll, but could it be an offshoot of a gnoll, like an intelligent gnoll or a bigger gnoll?
Mm-hmm.
Well, even then, they have that. So, like Scuff said, the best kind of homebrew is you just take it, you change its damage type, you maybe change its race, but everything else is the same.
Well, I've also got, for me personally, you've got a giant world, but I've also got a whole bunch of old editions too that have got material that hasn't been used yet. So there's been some magic items and some creatures where I'm like, we don't have a 5th edition version of this. Let me go back and take a look at the creature, see if we can port it over. But I will say this, I just picked up Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, and that's got Draconians in it, and I am excited.
My illegal piracy site hasn't updated to include that yet.
Those are my
for legal reasons. I do not have this.
Favorite D&D monsters. So
yeah, I'm hoping everything updates soon so my players can access it.
The party will not be encountering them anytime soon, but when they do, it will be vicious.
There's been some good books lately. Like Tasha's Cauldron of Everything was very recently, and that was a good book.
Mm-hmm.
I like Theros, but I don't see it being played much by me because it's just situational.
Yeah, it's not a great setting, but I did get the book for a few things, mainly some character concept, like the mythic stuff, and then the monsters in them were pretty cool too.
And the subclasses and stuff, if we're talking about the Fizbins.
Yeah. The Drake Warden.
The Drake Warden's cool because the entire gimmick is I get a Drake.
Yeah.
And then the new monk's neat.
The idea of the monk is neat. It doesn't sound like he plays well, but you know what?
He's not great, but he's neat.
It's a monk. Yeah. Like, if you're playing a monk, you're making that choice. Okay.
Listen, some monks are fun. Like, I looked at Kensei Monk, for example.
Well,
like,
that's what
I
I'm
can have
saying,
a lot of fun.
You
in
can have a
this.
lot of fun. It doesn't mean that you will be... But that's okay. You made that choice. You said, listen, I'm going to be a monk. I don't want to be great. I don't want to be the star of the show. I want to have fun and punch things.
It could be worse. You could choose a ranger and be like, I want to be first 5 levels, and then everyone outpaces me.
Yeah, like, in my second game, I'm playing a Tabaxi, for instance, he's Khajiit thief with 50 speed, and he has double dash.
You get that, you get the double dash speed, and then you throw in like something with the pseudo ninja, right? Like ninja's more of a monk style, but if you did the not the assassin, are you doing the thief?
Oh, scout.
Scout. Ooh, okay.
You can do some fun. There's a speed like that is a reason why in every dungeon I some type of speed trap, anything like that. For example, the party ran into their first Daibuk, I think it's called. You know the creature I'm talking about, Scuff, the demon.
Yes.
It's the jellyfish one that brings... Yeah, they learned the hard way that they couldn't just beat it by simply killing it every time it pop into a corpse.
Jesus.
So it just kept bouncing between corpses because I straight up rolled 6 3 times in a row.
So it's Betelgeuse. Got it.
I managed to kill the warlock during this encounter.
Cool.
And another alley of... Well, I incapped him. He said the curse words before the combat began, where this thing is going to miss me unless it gets... And the only time it's going to hit me is going to be a critical, which is exactly what happened, and they killed him in one shot.
Wow. The funny thing about my Khajiit character, his sleight of hand check is 15.
Yeah.
Flat out.
Yeah, that rogues are naturally, their bonuses go through the roof. They just do that.
And I managed to steal magic items from a level 20 NPC. As a level 7.
I guess an NPC would be level 20 if you like made it like a
Custom named character, but normally they just use like a commoner stat line. At this point, every time they go, I want to fight the merchant, here's a stat line, just fucking be a murder hobo.
Yeah. But our DM makes it to where everything's unique and has some stats and all that stuff. So I was like, holy shit.
I have no time for that in like an actual world. Like I've given the players a planet to explore. I cannot do more than here's a few named characters with custom stat lines. Every other NPC you run into is going to be a cop.
Oh well. That's fun though.
Well, moving on to plugs.
Yeah, we have some important ones this time around.
Yes, I'll start off with plugs for here because you're listening to this episode. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier. But you're going to want to pay attention and tune in and let everybody else know next week's episode. Is it next? Yeah, it's next week's episode. That airs the week of the 22nd. Is going to be the episode to listen to for the Q&A answers. So you'll find out what questions were asked by the community, what answers have been given, what new information we've got, what new content potentially might be coming to the game. Hopefully lots of good stuff to come. So by the time you're hearing this episode, the window to get your submissions for your questions, that's already passed. So really it's just hyping you up. Make sure everybody is aware of what's coming. And hopefully, personally, I'm hopeful that a lot of people who don't listen to the podcast will tune into the podcast and then maybe make that an occasionally regular thing, because that's just an added benefit. But at the very least, I think it's a unique way to make the Q&A and hopefully engage the community a little differently. So looking forward to that. And then obviously deck slots. I will be asking for deck slots. It's going to happen.
Yeah, obviously.
How about you, Admiral? Anything to plug?
Not much. Other than I hope people have a good day.
All right.
Yeah, that's always good.
Axel, how about you?
I'm gonna do the usual. I'm gonna plug our boy Dorn. He does art. He's made my profile picture. It's beautiful. It's crap. That's Dorn Stash on Twitter and Drew Lee Clark. I would plug the midweek tournament as I've done the last 2 in a row, but by the time you hear this, it'll be done tomorrow.
It should be completed. Yeah.
You should already be there. I do want to say it has 20 people in it.
Excellent.
That's a lot for a tournament. We don't normally get that much.
That's good. Yeah, I've got the Bar Night Legions. Start that up. That's on the 19th. So
that's going to start. I think. No, not. Yeah, the day after this airs.
That'll start
the day after this airs.
Yep.
There will be
a tournament you should be in. I'll be there. I'll be drunk. It's the rules.
And it's
the law.
Starting a little earlier than usual, so hopefully we get some more people attending. Should be fun.
Definitely got me because it's a Friday. I'll be there. And I think that's all I want to plug besides the obvious. We're doing a QA whatever guild, which is absurd to me. I didn't think we'd reach them.
It's coming. Well, they reached out to me too, so I was appreciative of that.
You don't know how many people had to be sacrificed to chaos
to get to that level.
Not even. True. It was absurd. The blood is on my hands, my crab claw hands.
All right, well, that's all I've got. Admiral Phil, thanks for joining us on the call tonight, and appreciate you making time.
You're welcome.
All right.
What happened to Phil towards the end?
That's about it. So we'll talk again next week. Get excited.
Woo.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
It ends here.
This has been another episode of the Warp Chatter Podcast. Thank you for listening.
I can't help but appreciate your talents.
It was inspiring.
I need some mood.